Brother Jack Moore and I, on one of our first missions going west, haven't thought of this for a long time. We were praying for the Indians out in St. Carlos. Yes, was you thinking that? Well, maybe the Lord wants me to say something about it. We had been down with the Spanish people, the first time I'd ever prayed for Indians, and there was an alcoholic and two burglars come into the meeting at Phoenix, at the Byrd High School auditorium. And when I seen them bring them Indians on the platform, my heart always went out for Indians anyhow. Well, I think they got a rough deal out of this American situation. So that I asked the Lord if He'd heal those two Indians and make it definitely heal them. Then I go back to the reservation. Before I got to California, somebody there let me know that they were both healed. So we had to go back up on the reservation, and I remember going in there and speaking to those Indians, those Apaches, great, big, strong people there sitting around everywhere. And I said, now, I know how you must feel. I said, I think it's wrong to send billions of dollars overseas for them to build up airplanes and make bombs and come back and blow us out with it. That's right. When thousands of these Indians die every year from starvation on the prairie, it's a stain on our flag to do a thing like that. After all, this land belongs to them. We just pushed them back. What would we think if the Japs come over here and pushed us back or something like that? Same feeling. Remember, you're human. I said, all of that I cannot help. I'm just one American. I'm just one person that votes just like you do and got the same rights that you have and all. But I said, I'm not here to tell you about this nation. I'm here to tell you about somebody that will give you a square deal. That's Jesus Christ. And I remember when we called the prayer line, the Indian's kind of a funny fella, you know. So there's nobody coming to prayer line. Used to be we'd have to take 5 of them away with great gangs of ushers to call the prayer line. There was nobody coming. I looked around, Brother Jack, he looked at me. Finally, the interpreter went back. What was that woman's name that had that mission out there on that? I believe she belongs to Assemblies of God. Yeah, I forget her name now. But, however, I was on her church steps. What? Mitchell, Mrs. Mitchell. Many of you Assembly of God people might remember. And we stood out on the steps with loudspeakers. It would just look like the old covered wagon days to see them sitting around, that sun going down. And all the old chief and his little Indians all around, and just far out in there, all around over that San Carlos riverbanks. And then, after a while, this interpreter, they got all time to do anything, and so it just went back in, brought out an Indian woman. Well, as soon as she came out, great big wide wrist, couldn't speak a word of English, looked me in the face. I watched her a few minutes there. I said, the woman has a venereal disease. It's not because that she's immoral, but the way she's had to live. She looked at me real strangely. When that interpreter got that to it, she nodded her head, that's right. So the next come out was a little girl, and she kept her head down. I said, now, this little girl, I said, she belongs to one of the great men in the tribe, and she had a fever. It made her go both deaf and dumb. She's been deaf and dumb for over 2 years. She hasn't spoke or heard anything. I said, now, all of you know this little girl because she's right here on the reservations. I said, now, if Jesus Christ loves the Indians, He'll heal the Indians. Laid hands, I thought, Lord, I said, don't interpret this. And so I prayed, Lord, give me a favor with these people. I prayed for the little girl. I got down to her, and if you ever heard Apache language, oh my. So I said, you hear me? She turned around and looked at me in that little old black hair, little dirty face, and she looked up at me. I said, you hear me? She said, oh, yeah. And I said, she'll talk better. And her mother turned around and said, her talk heap good now. So I said, well, and next they had a little old boy, pushed him out of that little building. The little old hair as coarse as a mane on a horse, and head down. And I said, well, I let the little boy look up at me. I said, he's got crossed eyes, hasn't he? And the mother's kind of rough. She just grabbed him at the top of the head and pulled his hair back, eyes back, his little eyes setting in like that. I said, wonder if I could get, he's scared of me. So I had a piece of chewing gum. I made friends with him, let him smell it, kept his head down, didn't smell it, them little cross eyes looking around. I picked him up and got him in my arms. I thought, God, if you ever help me, let it be now. I just find favor with them, then they'll believe. I had him on my little shoulder, little head on my shoulder, and I said, Lord, I pray that you'll straighten his eyes. I said, now, you raise your heads. I said, now, before I let the child leave my shoulders, if his eyes is not straight, I'm a false prophet. If his eyes is straight, then you believe I've come with a message from Jesus Christ for you. I turned him around like this, and you talk about a prayer. There was a stampede. Dust flying and everybody trying. Well, we couldn't get, no one could get in line to just fight and pushing and hollering and jumping over one another. And so, really the next was an old Indian woman coming from the back. And there's a little bitty, stout, about 18-year-old boy. He has climbed over all of it. He is pretty strong. He got next in line. And I said, son, you're not next. This old woman's next. I couldn't make him understand. And Brother Jack's a pretty good little man himself, you know, carpenter. So he just got the little lad and pulled him out of the way. Here come that old Indian woman. I'll never forget that as long as I live. Her crutches was made out of 2 broomsticks with some a piece of wood tacked over the top and rags wrapped on it, the pad. And she couldn't, it must have been an arthritis condition, and she put these 2 sticks out. She looked to be at least 80. And she put these 2 sticks out, and she'd make a step, and then she'd set the other. I just stood real still, and she walked right up like this to me, and she's shaking like that, and she looked up at me like that. Oh my! I seen them old plaited hair, gray, you know, them old deep wrinkles in her cheeks, and the tears cutting their way through like the river there, going down, dropping off her face like that. I thought, somebody's mother. No doubt that old feeble hand there wrinkled up has stroked the tears back out of a many crying baby's eyes. The hardships she's went through. She just stood and looked at me and never opened her mouth and said a thing. All at once she just started smiling, reached down, got a hold of one crutch and one the other, handed them over to me, and went walking out there as good as anybody else. No prayer or nothing. She just believed. You remember? And long about, I guess it's nearly daylight. I've been there all night. And by 4 o'clock. 4 o'clock in the morning, that's before sundown that afternoon. So you've been praying all that night until 4 o'clock the next morning. I noticed all the Indians coming in is wet way up around in here. I said, what's the matter with them? And she said, well, at first they thought you were false. But said the ford's away down. But said they run out into the prairies and got their loved ones, and they're wading across the river at midnight, packing their loved ones over to be prayed for. They'll rise in the judgment with a generation of white people and condemn them many times. Some of these people that won't even guard the door to a meeting. And so I remember one instance there. Just excuse me for taking the time. But faith cometh by hearing. We overcome by the word of our testimony. And this was a very outstanding case. There's an old Indian that had a board like this, and they had 4 sticks across this board. Didn't have a stretcher to put the old fellow on, so they let him lay his arms up here, just as gray as he could be, and his knees across the other part of the board. And there's 2 great big fellows packing him, just as wet as they could be. I said to one of the fellows, he's next in line coming up, I said, you speak English? A little. I said, aren't you afraid you'd take pneumonia? No. Said, Jesus Christ says, take care of me. I brought my dad. I said, you believe Jesus Christ will heal your dad? Yep. So I brought him. Said, all right. Passed him by. I said, pass him by. I just laid hands upon the old fella. That plaited hair laying there and shaking like this, you know. I laid my hands up on him. I said, God be merciful to him. Heal him for Christ's sake. I said, take him on. I said, let the next come. They come across like that. A few minutes, I heard a great rally out there amongst them Indians. You just couldn't see from the end of the lights for Indians. Looked out there. The old man had the board on his own shoulder going along waving at everyone. We try to make it too complicated. We come over the top of it trying to find it. We try to make it some mysterious thing when it's just simple. The more simple you are, better off you'll be. Just don't jump at it. Try to press yourself. Just receive it. It's just that easy. You jump over it. That's what our theologians do. Jump over the top of it, trying to find what's sitting right next to you. So simple. The Bible said even a fool shouldn't err. That's right. It's so simple, the gospel.